Then the most incredible thing happened to the boys have ever experienced, and indeed, ever would experience happen. The nun began to glow, and then with the small pop, vanished. Startled, Christopher involuntarily slammed on the brakes and veered onto the side of the road. Had that just really happened? Where did she go? Where was she? How could she just have disappeared? But clearly the miracle had taken place. The front passenger seat screamed its emptiness. Struck dumb, the young man continued on to Tacoma without saying a word. The boys never told anyone about their ethereal visitor. If they had, who would have believed them? Besides, they had enough demerits at school. They certainly weren't going to start telling stories about a doomsday nun. Everyone dismissed as a tasteless prank or worse, or drug-induced hallucination. And if the boys had checked in with Tacoma police, however, they would have found their encounter was not unique. Over the past years, more than 20 reports had come in from individuals as well as carloads of people who had experienced exactly the same thing. They all stopped to pick up a middle-aged woman, usually but not always dressed in a nun's habit, who warned the motorists that if they didn't repent their sins, they would die in a car accident on the highway. In the last couple of months, she had changed her apocalyptic story to center on Mount St. Helens. As it turned out, the nun was right, at least in part. On May 18, 1980, after several months of underground murmurs, Mount St. Helens erupted. The north side of the mountain blew out, causing debris avalanche that stripped away everything in its path. Plumes of pumice and steam followed, covering miles around with layers of ash. 57 people were killed and 250 houses were destroyed. The road and railway were wiped out, as if 47 bridges, and by far it was the deadliest and costliest volcano eruption in U.S. history. Had the mysterious sister accurately predicted the desolation? Was she describing a Mount St. Helens eruption to her captive audiences at all? Or was she receiving a holy vision of Judgment Day? And in fact, has she been a spirit, or was she instead an angel of the Lord? The 220-mile stretch of I-5 that the Phantom Nun haunted in the late 1970s and early 1980s is between Eugene, Oregon, and Tacoma, Washington. After Mount St. Helens eruption, the ghost prophecy about a fiery apocalypse was widely interpreted as having a prediction about the volcano. And although the mountain itself is not and has never been considered to be haunted, you might still wish to visit if you are still retracing the steps of the spectral sister. So Mount St. Helens Visitor Center is 3029 Spirit Lake Highway, Castle Rock, Washington, 98611. Their phone number is 360-274-7750. The 172 square mile Mount St. Helens National Volcano is managed by the U.S. Forest Service. The Visitor Center is operated in conjunction with the Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission.